everyone, and welcome to Brunch Business. What a glorious winter day here in Sydney it is. We could not help. We've been enjoying coming down to the beach, and we wanted to share Sydney weather here in Sydney. It's just amazing. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the stages of the team's development. And we've all heard of the forming, storming, norming, performing and transforming, I call it. So I thought we'd open that up.
I think that's a great mouthful to get out in the first place.
There's a lot of other definitions of the fifth stage, but I like to call it the transforming stage, because I think it is a time of transforming, not only for the team but the individuals.
Yeah, most definitely.
So let's go through the stages.
Okay.
So the forming stage is, Gary, when
the team's coming together, and that can be when a new division in a company's starting, or whether you've got a project that's just commencing and everyone's forming into that group. Or it could be people being pulled together within a company for a project.
Yes.
And it's
the forming stage is kind of like the where
getting to know you.
Yeah, that's right. Getting to know you. Everybody's well mannered and being nice to one another. Hi, my name's Yolly.
Yeah.
How are you? And they're being very nice to each other. But also there can be a stage through when they're starting to set their goal for the project or whatever it is, where a little bit of confusion comes in, and people might feel like they're inhibited in showing their talents or speaking their mind. Or
well, I think all of us go through the situation when if you start in a new role or you're put into a new team of people where you are
a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. And you're trying to work out, and I'm sad to say it's human nature. Am I good enough?
Yes,
it's
uncertainty.
That situation of uncertainty. So that's always there in that forming situation.
Yeah, so they're kind of in the forming stage. They're kind of trying to get through that. So they focus on the goal and the planning side of things. So they're talking about that.
And as you say, there can be some confusion there, which then moving into the...
Then you're moving into the storming stage. So the storming stage is the second stage of developing a team. And that's where a little bit of conflict starts to arise, because people are starting to they've got to know each other now, and they're starting to want to have their say in it.
Their positioning.
Yeah. And there might be some differing of views there as well, by the way.
Yeah, exactly, and on how to progress with the planning.
Yeah, and
putting things together.
That's right, and that's when that conflict arises, and each person's starting to understand how other people's views and ideas are starting to look at it and go, okay, then that's how Gary feels about that, or whoever it might be, and they're starting to learn how to resolve those kind of issues, aren't they?
You're on the verge then, moving through that stage, you're on the verge of collaboration starting.
Yeah, so I've got written here so I wouldn't forget. So they're managing their relationships and task-orientated issues rather than continuing the conflict. They're starting to get into the management stage. Then we move on to the third stage, which is the norming stage, where everything's starting to feel a little bit normal, and the bonds are starting to
like
come
I said, you're on the verge of that area.
Yeah.
You're moving now into that bonding, collaboration.
Yes.
And the team is really starting to work in the common goal.
Yes, and the ground rules are starting to be set.
The ground rules.
They're set. They're set. The ground rules are set here. And there's the harmonies there.
Yeah.
They're getting along with each other, and like we said in the beginning, they're bonding together.
Yeah.
Which is really good, and they're all now starting to build that team identity.
Oh yeah, that's
the team's.
That's where the team solidness is definitely there.
And they can now at this stage they can now constructively work on issues that might arise.
And when you've experienced being in team work or project work, and that. You can sort of you can relate to this situation very easily, but sometimes people that haven't experienced very much of that will find it very hard in their first few encounters of having a team come together, and it can become very confusing and without realising these steps and stages
That's right.
that take place in
Yep.
that structure.
And
it
by
can
the
be
way,
damaging.
I want to note too, I want to remember that any time a team is getting together and developing, sometimes they can slip back to earlier stages. It's worth remembering all the way along in this team formation happening that they can slip back, and because it could be a hiccup arise in the project.
I think that's very important to point out, because we discuss with so many different things in project operations. If direction has to change,
it can throw the team off.
It throws the team off, and it can throw off change the task or the role of several people in a team as to what they actually have to do and the timings that they have to do those things. So that can really, as you say, go back from where you could. You're in the middle.
You get back to storming.
Yeah, storming and most definitely.
Yeah. So the next stage is performing. So this is where the dedication to completion is there.
Yep.
They're dedicated now. They're totally dedicated to getting that, and they handle any type of stressful deadlines or any challenges that have come along. They can handle it.
Yep.
At this point, they're so bound together, the bonds there, the harmony's there, they're all together, they're in this together.
Yep.
They can handle anything at this stage.
That's right.
So, and it's as simple as that. And they're cooperating well together. They're bouncing off each other. They're motivating.
It's also at the point where you're seeing the goal being achieved.
Yes.
You can see the finish line.
Yep.
If you'll let me say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the teams focus on their performances here, and they're motivating and assisting each other, and the team is together. Then the last one is transforming.
Oh, this is
transforming. Yeah. This could be the end of a project. This could be where they then dissipate and go back to where they came from.
Yep.
So they might have been were brought together for a special project.
Yep.
Now the team has been as dissipating and going back to their everyday roles. And there could be a lot of emotions around this time.
Oh, look, you and I have both experienced those sorts of situations, especially the large ones that you were involved with. And I've been involved with building projects and renovation projects as well. And you really become part of something that when you reach that final finish job that you've got so much pride in, but you don't want the project to finish.
No, because you don't want the team to be pulled apart.
No, and it's really a changing thing that you have to realise can happen and does happen. And as a leader, you really have to watch out for that with the people that have been in the team to make sure you can...
Exactly. And also this is a time when the team gets together and they start evaluating what they've done and looking at how great each person's role was important to the project. So they're evaluating a lot, and also celebrating.
Yeah, that's true. But the other form of the transformation is when the goal has been reached, which has been to set up an operation, and then the team is going to carry on in that operation. Yep. You've driven and you've reached that point of performance, and the team's going to continue. It could be setting up a subsidiary for a business, or setting up another outlet for a company.
Yep, exactly.
And so there's been all that massive work to get it in place, and now it's there, and now you're going to operate it. And that is the transformation as well.
And another thing at this point is that they do is they learn. They sit down and they talk about what they've learned from the experience and how they can take that to the next level. Or it could be, Gary, so you've come together as a new team, and where you're going to go, what's the next level?
Exactly.
What's the next step that they're going to take?
But you touched on, and I think I cut across you a little bit as well, is the celebratory thing.
Yes.
And the congratulations from the team leader.
Yes.
To make sure that happens, so that the people actually, the pride is brought out and extended, so that person feels the good in the project and what they're going to do next.
Exactly.
Yep.
So there are your stages of the formation of a team, the development of a team, and I hope you got something out of it. I hope you learned something out of it or understood what the steps are, so that if anything happens during the development of your team, that you know what's happening or understand.
I think the 5 titles, in saying them, sound a little bit comical, but when you think about them in the way in which the team structures and builds and whatever else, I think they're really great to grab a hold of, and that is
forming, storming, norming, performing, and transforming. Hey, we got it right. Okay, that's enough from us for Brunch Business. Keep smiling, and we'll catch up with you next week.